Hello, Scott. Welcome to Awaken Hidden Truth.
Thank you, Barry. Good to be here. We've done so many of these, I've lost count.
Correct.
People would probably see these, maybe see one of these radio shows. Who knows who's going to watch them? I wouldn't care if any single individual on this earth, like classified government, Queen of England, Donald Trump. I don't care if generals in the Air Force, people in underground bases. I don't care who watches it, because anybody that does is going to be benefited by it. There's no negative in my work. I don't bring negative things to earth. I'm not here to attack anyone or tear anybody down. I'm here to help them get free of doing that themselves to each other, because it's a trap. And the Earth planet and its people have been stuck in that trap. And not just in this lifetime. The people who are incarnate on this planet now have been stuck doing this in other worlds and other lives, and they just brought it here. It doesn't go away. When a person leaves a lifetime somewhere out in the universe, the only thing they take with them is their state of consciousness, what they're aware of. And if they're aware of fear and tyrants and terror, they take that with them. And it projects out in the universe and creates the conditions that are negative, and they get incarnated into what they call paying karma, or reincarnating with no awareness or memory. So we do all these radio shows, and as you know, there's no money involved here. I don't work with any monetary system on the planet to do these, to get them out in front of the public through your YouTube channel. This is your radio show. And you created that, and I'm part of it by mutual free will. We do them because it provides a way for other people to begin to recover what they could not remember otherwise. Because what is said and done in these shows, they've never heard before, not this way. And it is done in a way that is designed to help trigger or stimulate long dormant faculties of knowing, perception, and certainty to come to the surface in those people. I can't force it on anyone. I don't intend to, nor will I endeavor to ever do that. But I'll put it out there, get it in the world so people can somehow, by some miracle, cross paths with it. Then they find out about the first half of the word human and the hue and how it telepathically connects to the source behind all life. They find this out, and things start to unravel. They begin to move upward in a spiral in awakening consciousness while they're living on Earth. And they are co-creating their own freedom out of this trap. What trap? Well, being on Earth with no memory of what you knew before you were born is a trap. Living a temporary life for 70 or 80 or 90 or 100 years or less, rarely more, is a trap, because people think in terms of them being bodies that can grow old and die. And so they identify with it. They add their imagination to that. And it keeps the being that's running that body thinking incorrectly that it is somehow a body that can grow old and die. And if it thinks that way, the universe will co-create those conditions. The thing, divine spirit, people talk to or pray to, is a living energy field that is omnipresent. That means it's everywhere, on all the multidimensional levels, supporting all the different dimensions, all the planets, all the worlds, all the suns, all the galaxies, all the doorways between dimensions, spacecraft, anti-gravity. It's all part of it. It's quantum physics beyond what's known in quantum physics on Earth yet. Because whether people want to face it or not, it's spiritual. What I mean by that is, it's a type of energy that supports planets and moons and suns and stars. They float and turn in it. And it's this toroidal or 0-point energy that's in between everything that floats in it. It's not just in the physical universe. It's 144 parallel dimensions of the physical universe. Then it goes what people call astral and causal and mental and etheric, very old terms, ancient terms that did not get invented or created on this planet. And it goes into the void and what this barrier between the way the multiverse is created. There are upper realities, a barrier, and lower realities. In the lower realities of time and space, the current that is one energy is split into two. And it's supposed to be harmonized, whirling around each other with a golden white light, a type of non-material energy surrounding it. And this is true. The void of space that appears black to people isn't, except to the limits of human eyes. It's actually a white golden light. And the Atma that runs a body, when it's out of its body, and it's above the atmosphere of the Earth, which is negative predominantly, and looks into the universe, which is not matter. That void of space, there's no matter there. Dark matter isn't matter at all in the sense of what people are trying to determine. It's not electrons and protons. As long as people keep looking at it that way, they're never going to get how to work with that 0 point energy of the universe properly, because it isn't a material thing. It's an energy, but it's not nuclear or atomic. That's something people just on Earth can't get their head wrapped around, because they're thinking too physically about everything. So the Atma can know this stuff with certainty, what we really are that runs a body that is spherically shaped, what soul really looks like. And it has the ability to perceive these things, even while it's running a body on Earth. Or it can leave that body like it does every night when people put the body to sleep. And they've been so brainwashed and so misdirected for, I hate to say it, billions of years in the lower dimensions of time and space, that they can't conceive of bringing back what they know as this into the little brain and body that grew up on this life learning none of it. Not any of it at all. So there's nothing in the brain and that body that really has any understanding of that, is there? Because no one on Earth taught it that. This is what people aren't getting, you know. People on Earth are capable of recovering who they are. But they don't believe that or know that, and they're terrified of it. And the terror of it is subconscious, and it's artificial. It was created by tyrants and enforced on people, and not just this lifetime, long ago in galactic history. The being has the capability to shake that all off once it's confident enough to own its own higher faculties of being and start to use them again, get them, they're atrophied in people. They haven't been used. Many of those teardrops and those layers of the being that we talk about aren't on at all. They haven't been working for thousands, maybe millions of years in some people. And the Atma just keeps compulsively reincarnating, running bodies. So it's no wonder that people are suffering from the illusion that they're a physical body when they've never been one ever. So what we really are that runs these DNA forms isn't nuclear or atomic in nature. As far as I know, there's no one else on Earth even saying this. You have to have a certain amount of courage. Comes from confidence. Confidence is not ego. It comes from one of the attributes of the Atma itself, soul. People on Earth call soul without knowing a clue about what it really is, or what it looks like, or how to work with it consciously. The first thing that has to happen with anybody that wants to recover who they are is they got to get this polarity. There's like they're upside down. Upside down is a sphere running a body, trying to look at it. When they see everything upside down, it's not possible, because they think they're a body that has a soul, some vague thing stuck somewhere off they're not allowed to know about till they die, or they're told they'll find out later in heaven or something. That's not true at all. We're in life's experiences running different bodies on different planes to learn how to turn that polarity around so that we can see in 360 degrees as a sphere out in the multiverse. And remember that we're running bodies, but we aren't a body. We've never, ever been a physical body, ever. A brain and body that grows up in one lifetime does not run itself. A brain can't run itself. It's a machine, a being that puts energy into it that isn't nuclear in nature, runs the body through the pineal gland, the center of the brain. It can also operate separate from a body, run it through the pineal gland, and know that it's not in the body. But I don't find many people on Earth that understand this, that are really living this way. They don't remember. They've long since been made to forget all about this. What is it I'm doing when I do that? Where does it come from? What does it mean? It is a primordial, omnipresent living energy that has always been, existing in what are called the higher realities before the worlds of time and space were constructed. And it is a first sound, first word behind all that exists that has always been there. It's a fail-safe. When a person begins to work with it, they begin to link up to, look at it like that might not be a good example, but I'll try it. Like somebody breathing out and then breathing in. From the source of life, where we all come from, there is an energy that moves out, down into creation. It goes through everything, and then it spirals back up. The hue begins to link a person up to the upward moving spiral. It might have been billions of years for some beings before they cross paths with what this is and what they once knew it to be. Long, long, long ago. The condition of the worlds of time and space, the physics of time and space on multidimensional levels, below what's called the void, which is a barrier of energy that is not nuclear, that separates the upper realities from the lower. Think of it as an individual as a quantum in a great one singularity, or one quantum in a great big huge quantum universe. It's probably not the right terms because there's so much misunderstanding about what that is, even amongst the best scientists. They work with theory. They don't know. Some might, but they're wise enough probably not to talk about it with fellows because they would be shunned or feared if they did. So they conveniently work with theory, and that's just belief. There are those beings in the universe who know. They don't work with theory. They don't work with speculation or debate or belief or faith. They work with direct knowing experience. And this is the way we are meant to be as beings running bodies. We're meant to know, not believe something. If you want to believe there's a supreme being somewhere, doesn't it make sense that you should go and visit it to find out for yourself what it is you're praying to? Because people pray to all kinds of tyrants their whole lives, many lives, and they don't get any results from it. They just give their energy away. And then they live and die on faith, and then think they go to some permanent place. They usually end up reincarnating right back here. Why? Because they haven't learned anything. You can't go play in higher realities irresponsibly, throwing tantrums and demanding this and demanding that. It won't work. It doesn't work like that. We are, as beings, made of an energy that is the same as the source behind all life itself, part of it. Best analogy I have is think of a huge galaxy made of light and sound that's whirling around the center in a huge blue void. Not here in the physical universe, much further higher dimensional reality. It is beyond molecules and atoms, but it is energy. It is the source that supports and maintains and sustains molecules, suns, explosions going off, moons and planets. The whole balance of gravity itself is this primordial energy, supporting things spinning to create these fields. But there's an energy behind that, behind gravity. And it's that energy that has to be worked with if people are going to advance and play among the stars and get any distance worth even talking about. You're never, ever going to be able to go to another planet, practically, in a rocket ship. Being propelled by explosive gases takes too long. At the minimum, it takes artificial gravity under the feet of people, or human bodies atrophy and perish. You can't take someone 2 years to Mars and back in some can They can't even exercise and they're in zero gravity. They won't make it. So there has to be artificial gravity. And what is that anyway? How do you create it? And if it's classified and created, then if someone attempts to do that, they're going to have to be given that secret or they'll never make it. Go to the moon, that only takes a few days. Try to go to another planet in a solar system in a rocket ship. You can't do it practically. So some other type of energy and some other mode of transportation has to be involved to do that properly. A ship big enough, people having something that revolves around it, create a gravitational illusion in a way so they can walk around in there, would have to be gigantic, and there'd have to be exercise rooms, and there'd have to be like what you have on Earth, carried with you, or genetic forms that are conditioned to Earth will not survive it. Now this is practical. This is known amongst scientists on Earth. You don't put a Russian astronaut and a US astronaut on an International Space Station in zero gravity for a year and bring them back with bone mass loss and atrophied organs and things and problems they had, and find out that even just a year, they can't survive in zero gravity practically past a small period of time without doing serious damage to their body. So this is known. There are people who want to go to Mars and other planets in rocket ships. They can. I personally, if someone paid me $1 billion right now today, I would not get on one of those ships and spend 2 years going each way back and forth because they would not survive it. I might as well walk off a cliff. So, practically speaking, if you're going to take a rocket ship, some kind of propulsion is going to have to speed that up considerably. Or you're going to have a ship the size of an aircraft carrier or something where people can walk around in an artificial gravity field and stay healthy and get there. And then what are you going to do? Take refrigerators full of dead cow bodies and steaks to eat along the way? No. It means your protein source and other things have to be synthesized in order to take. You can't take all that out there that way. And people have to be practical. How do people from the stars get to Earth? Do they think they have dead chickens and cows and sheep and pigs on board to eat coming here? 500 million light years away? No. It's hilarious when I think about the science is there, okay, even on Earth to do it. But you can't do it and survive it the way they're thinking. You've got to work with this 0 point energy to do it. But that's not the only problem. What about elimination and food and oxygen? 2 years each way? How are they going to create oxygen on a little ship 2 years each way? Get rid of the carbon dioxide, exercise and eat and eliminate. How do you do that in a tin can? I wouldn't do it if people paid me to do it. I'd get on an anti-gravitic ship from another world in a heartbeat and join them and go without questioning it. But they know what they're doing. Okay, I'm not trying to be facetious or critical or of anyone, because people that want to do this have good hearts and they really want to do this stuff, but they're not going about it in a way that's practical, ultimately. We want to go back to the moon? We've already done that. What's the big deal about that? 4 or 5 days each way and, go to the moon and pick up some moon rocks, I guess, and come back. It's entertaining, but I don't see the real value in it. Unless you set up a base out there. They've already done that too. On the other side, of course, where you can't see it. So how do we go from here in a culture on Earth to here? How do we get from not knowing anything to playing among the stars with races who do in the physical universe? We are not going to be able to go from here to there without their kindness, assistance, or their technological much greater advancement, even their awareness as beings, as human beings. So we're going to have to work with them. You don't want to work with tyrants because they'll just stick a knife in your back. So you want to work with good people from other worlds. The technology to get around the universe is not new. It's ancient. Earth is just a very young planet of human beings that have never had the opportunity to grow as a culture for millions of years uninterrupted, because the poles have flipped here and destroyed everything many times. And that's been stopped. So we have the opportunity now to step out among the stars as beings running bodies, not bodies running beings. That won't work. So when I say this, it is a telepathic communication that is being put out, which is a pure form of energy that cannot be distorted, to the core of beings who are running bodies who maybe don't even know what they are, that they call soul. Because the more advanced races out there know quite well what that is. And they've made significant advances because they know how to respect the energy behind creation, what people call the energy of the universe. It's a living conscious force and is one power. And you cannot grab or hold that power selfishly like this. It'll just go right through your fingers. The Atma, what we really are, can co-create with that, and it will co-create with us. So we want to create wonderful, uplifting things for the good of all life. Deliberately do that in that energy, and it will respond to that as well. You want to free a planet? Get a whole planet of people to want that, and the planet will change. So our job is to help people get up, wake up enough to recover enough to want to ask for that. That's world leaders, classified people, that doesn't matter. If they want to do what is right in eternity, then they're going to have to learn how to respect all life in the grand multidimensional creation, not just life on Earth. Earth is going to have to find a way, and they're going to get the help to do it, to establish a government for this planet that is kind. But we're not going to play among the stars, not very far. We're not going to get very far out there because space is already occupied. Sorry, folks, but it is, by much more advanced races than us. It is because of what governments have done on this planet to keep the lid on this whole issue of life elsewhere that people remain ignorant of this and in doubt and fear. It's to maintain an old status quo that cannot be maintained for much longer the way it is. Because life evolves. The energy moving through the solar system of our solar system now is moving in one direction. And it's the whole thing. And there's no power on this earth that's going to stand up to that and say, no, you won't. Because it's moving this way. It's not for the control of governments or taking over people or ruling anybody. It's for the uplifting, enlightening benefit of beings running bodies. Duh. Yeah. So I say this with due respect to everyone on Earth. And I mean it. It's simple. We have to start to grow up now as beings, not bodies. If we want to be invited to play among the stars and be given the technology, even ships, the whole bit, then we have to be responsible for it and with it and not abuse it. It's simple. Our solar system is quarantined. That means we can't play among the stars the way we are. We're not going to be allowed to take all the perverted, nonsensical, childish crap that people put out every day on this planet and go throw it up on other people out there. It's not going to happen. And we don't have the right to think that way. They want to go make competition in space between Russia and China and the US and have this competitive thing out in space amongst races that won't tolerate that. Weaponize space? Not a good idea. It's like nailing your foot to the floor and running in circles thinking you're going to run forward. You can't. So, out of kindness, when I say the solar system is quarantined, it means that it's quarantined by races that can quarantine it, and we don't have a thing to say about it. Because otherwise, people would misuse their free will to go out there and throw up all their limiting, bigoted, and selfish, tiny little nonsense and all their government perspectives, religious differences, and try to go force that on other people who are way beyond it. That's just not practical. It's just not going to happen. The sooner people on Earth discover they're living in a universe of mostly very kind, wondrous beings, the better off everybody else on Earth will be, and the world will change without an Armageddon. Armageddon. I always joke about that. Armageddon out of here is how I use that. You know, that's crazy. Okay, you can predict such things. You can put your focus of attention on destruction and annihilation, as most people really unconsciously are, or you can choose to step away from that and get the help from beings elsewhere to help us achieve something that's never been achieved on this world, never even dreamed of. Cures for cancer, turning on genomes that are turned off on human DNA, that's a piece of cake science out there. Not hard. It's just not on Earth. If we want to step up to bat, we have to be respectful, humble enough to allow fellow human beings and other races that can show us the way to do this, how to run a world. We have to ask them for their help. They're not tyrants. They don't want to run Earth's governments. That would be the worst burden you could imagine. No one in their right consciousness in other worlds, the way they run those worlds, ever would want to run the governments of this planet, because that's lunacy. All not cooperating at each other's throats, competing with each other. It's absurd. That's the childish nature of humanity. Earth is an example of a very, not a normal human planet, but it can be. It's destined to be. Well, we're going up to near, 2021? 2012 is long behind us. The world's still here. Where are all those predictions people made about the end of the world? Did you want to say something, Perry? You should say something, I think.
Sorry, coughing so much. I have questions from Tanya, Australia.
Okay.
Okay. She has 3 questions. The first one, why are cities on these planets under domes when we go on journey?
Think about it for a moment. Not all are, some are out in the open, but domes are patterned after the structure of spheres. And spheres are patterned after what beings look like that made them. And that is your answer. Mm-hmm. All forms, squares, cubes, triangles, you can trace them out inside a sphere, the upper or lower hemisphere. All forms are found within the sphere. Inside the Atma that is spherical, those lines can be moved anywhere within those different layers of those teardrops, and you get the same thing. So domes have a way of harnessing energy in a holistic way. Pyramids within the domes charge energy in the center of it, near about a third of the way up it, and amplify it. So it's either, if you take negativity into it, you're going to be crazy. If you take an uplifting, loving, humble, respectful thing into it, you're going to get that amplified, including the ability to know things and look out into the universe. So you can put it in your imagination, a pyramid around your home, and keep it there, and it will do the same thing, because it's just energy. Imagination is the key to having this omnipresent energy of the universe co-create new ways of doing things with us. To do it, we have to be consciously aware of what we are, not this thing. This is made of atoms and molecules and DNA on the same time rate, molecular time rate. In a parallel dimension a little higher here, where there's another Earth and Moon that aren't like this, they're moving at a slightly higher molecular time rate. The two are like this, but they never really connect. There are points where they do. They're called concentric generators. It means the energy of a higher parallel dimension is generated down to one moving a little slower, and they come through these openings to support creation. And that's one force, one power, one omnipresent living energy. It is the same through all the dimensions behind the different levels of matter that make up these structures of dimensions. So we really only have to work with and understand the one energy that's behind and supporting all life in order to play in the whole thing in much more profound and wondrous new ways. Races and beings on other worlds have learned how to do this. So, dark matter, what is it? Is it really dark? No. Is it powerfully abundant everywhere in huge amounts beyond what floats in it, like galaxies? Yes. Is it just in the physical universe you can see with astronomical equipment, radio telescopes, optical telescopes? You're working with infrared and ultraviolet and X-ray and gamma rays and all these different things are just levels of the same light. There is no limits to the speed of light. That's completely wrong as it's taught on Earth. Completely. 286,000 miles per second is just how human eyes can detect it. So they think that's the limit of it because that's all human eyes can see. But down deep, they know there is no limit to that, really. They say it takes billions of years for light to get from their galaxy to us. But they're thinking of it in terms of human physical eyes. It doesn't. Everything's connected right in the moment. And if you know how to move through that moment, you can move to any moment in it without the limits of the speed of light. It's higher science, folks. It's... Any other question from Australia?
Yes. Okay. Next one. Can you please go into detail on how the Atma became trapped, thus our families were not able to find us from any of our lives being lived on different levels?
Identification with bodies over time and space. Addiction to bodies over time and space. Whether it be of a sexual nature or food or avarice or the desire to sense physical matter, smell things, taste things. These are senses of a body like those on Earth that are designed out of the molecules of the planet you see to sense those things. It transmits that information not from the brain. It's not in here. It transmits those things through the mechanism of the brain to the Atma that's running the body. So it can have data and input of physical life in a lower physical plane. It's not made of that matter. So it has to have a vehicle through which it can sense different dimensions. We're supposed to learn from that and then co-create new ways of doing things from our long experiences in time and space with the source behind all life. Our reason for existing is to co-create with that source consciously, which means we don't want to bring any negative nature into it at all. Because if you do, it'll create both good and bad in your life. It is completely unbiased, this one power. It will simply co-create what you imagine in it, good or bad. So we want to get detached from good and bad, that whole idea, and go into the one energy we're made of that's the same as it, start creating wondrous new ways of doing things for the good of lifting good of all life. Not just life on Earth, all life everywhere. We can play in the multiverse if we can respect it. We cannot play in the multiverse if we will not respect it. If we're not humble to respect other humans and other worlds, we're in serious trouble on this planet. Because the most of life that's out there that they call God in individual atmas or souls is out there. It's not on Earth. It's out there, most of it. We want to be able to play with that, then you have to respect it. Otherwise, you're in trouble. You're stuck. You're quarantined on a planet. Because people like that are dangerous and destructive only. Ultimately. That's not good. It's not going to work out there.
Yeah, and she asked why our family is on another planet, not able to find us.
What makes you think they can't find you? Maybe you just won't let yourself be aware of them. They could be trying to talk to you for most of your life and you can't hear them. Your fear, negative emotions block that. Because you're telling this omnipresent spirit to block it from your awareness. It's simply cooperating with your misdirected consciousness. That's being misdirected by subconscious. It's an artificially created energy field, the subconscious. It's not part of the Atma. It was brought about through the misuse of science by tyrants long ago, and it keeps people terrified of remembering who they are because they think of themselves as a body, and bodies can be destroyed. So they're told, if you remember who you are, we're going to torture you to death again. Now, that threat was once real, but it's not real anymore because that threat has been moved away from this Earth and this solar system. It's not there anymore. You're not going to get abducted by little grays anymore. That was done away with decades ago. People just aren't caught up to present time about it yet because it's classified. If you can keep people in fear, you can control them. If you can keep them in doubt of what is true and what is not, you can control them easily. The people doing it are doing it because they're afraid. They're afraid of what people will do to them when they find out how lied to they've been and how abused they've been. But the thing of it is, people doing it are more afraid than the people they're doing it to. And they can't help it any more than you can. So this change in consciousness has to happen for all life on Earth, not just a select group. Not a ruling group versus the population. That won't cut it. And we'll be stuck on this planet. You won't be free to travel among the stars. Try to take an anti-gravitic reverse engineered ship with a pilot and go faster than the speed of light, and they kill themselves. Because it requires the Atma working with toroidal energy to run them properly. You can't have a subconscious fear driving you when you're running one of those things with little buttons and levers because you're going to make too many mistakes in working with this 0 point energy. And it can be very destructive if you don't know what you're doing or if fear misdirects what you're doing while you're playing with that. That's one power, and it's not to be played with. It's there for us to learn how to co-create with it properly. Science, medicine, longevity, turning on closed down genomes on the DNA, waking us up, turning on brain cells, getting further than you can even measure an IQ on planet Earth while you're running around on planet Earth takes place. I know I work with people doing this right now. We don't care about showing it off for anybody. We're more concerned about the survival of an entire culture, not just human, by the way, plant and animal and mammal life as well. We're meant to be creative custodians or caretakers of worlds, even galaxies, as individual beings. And people on Earth are not fulfilling their purpose. They don't even know what it is anymore. So first thing is, get people aware of what they are that isn't a physical body and never has been one. Get them aware of what the purpose is for creativity. What do we exist for? Why are we in existence? What is our purpose? And it is to co-create uplifting, beneficial new ways of doing things for all life. That is the reason we exist. And we're supposed to be taking care of these lower worlds and planets and suns and moons in profoundly better ways than people certainly aren't showing that on Earth at all. They're polluting it to death. make nuclear weapons? You don't even care about the radiation? Put it and dump it in holes in the ground? How childish is that? To do this to your own atmosphere, your own planet. Do not even develop to spend the money on the science to make imbalanced isotopes balanced? Duh! No one in their right mind, in other words, would produce nuclear weapons like that. And they wouldn't make them in the first place if they have better energy to use than that. But if they did make them, they would have a science to neutralize the terribly destructive nature of radioactive materials. Man-made radioactive materials. There's no such thing as bomb-grade ore in the world. It has to be twisted and perverted to do that. And that is a technology that tyrants used out in galactic history and was given to people on Earth illegally and terribly abused. So it's a big challenge to get that consciousness, the tyrants who were few that were here, get them out of here, and then start to make inroads to get this planet changed, because they're gone, but the effect subconsciously remains in people on this earth, even the world leaders. It was done to them without their consent, and by the time they were aware it was being done to them, it was too late. If they want to get changed out of that, they're going to have to ask for the assistance of beings who are not tyrants, who will help us without lording it over us, kind of thing. It takes some courage and some backbone. But people on Earth are capable, under the right conditions, of doing this, even world leaders. Most of them are being worked with when they're out of bodies at night. They're not aware of what's going on because they never learned how to bring it back to that brain and body they grew up with. You have to be consciously aware of using higher faculties to do that. And if you're not, then you're not going to bring much back to this little brain and body in the morning when you wake it up. There's a whole process to recovering, exercising dormant faculties to get this done. This is off-world technology 101. This is not about what's been developed on Earth. It's what's been developed for billions of years out in the galaxy where human beings originated. They didn't originate on Earth. That's really amazing when you begin to understand this fact. No human species represented on Earth ever evolved here. They didn't grow out of fish and become upright walking humans. It's all theory. It's speculation. It's nonsense. They did evolve out there on other worlds, even other galaxies, long ago in galactic history, intergalactic history, interdimensional galactic history, where this form was developed to this level. 100,000 years in Lemuria, when that continent was here, before the poles changed, the beings were no less evolved as human beings then than we are now. You can go back millions of years on planet Earth when beings have been coming here from the stars, and they're no more evolved as human beings than we are now. Except they have their genomes and their DNA they used to call junk DNA turned on. All of them have photographic memories and are telepathic and can speak with vocal cords. They know what they are that's spherical, that runs a body and can get her out of it. Even those piloting the most advanced spaceships know that. So Earth has a long ways, not long ways. It has a lot of leaping into unknown territory to do with kind people who are not on this Earth. And they have master teachers that work with them, that go on their ships to help make sure things don't get out of balance and get negative. How can Earth people conceive of an organization of more than 450 million spacefaring races working in harmony in just a little under a half of the galaxy we call the Milky Way, and another half run by another organization of worlds that are working together that are kind and highly evolved? I know a couple that's got human bodies, man and woman, 3.5 million years old, and they're not aging. But they're not stuck in bodies either, if you catch my drift. Very important. So, yeah, anything's possible. The technology to do this is long and ancient. For people on Earth to save themselves the trouble of so-called evolving for another billion years on this planet, to acquire any of this, that's pointless. If other beings on other worlds that are human have already discovered this and are willing to share it with us, why would we say, no, we want to weaponize space? Let's have our competition. Let's go out with China, United States, and Russia, and let's go out there and fight over the spoils. Complete childish malarkey. They don't have the right, nor will they ever be given the right to go fight over the spoils in space. Space is already occupied. Sorry, folks. You might as well get used to it now, because it's coming this way, and this world is in for some real change. Full disclosure is one of them. If you want to avoid Armageddon, get rid of COVID, get rid of all this nonsense, we have to grow up on this planet, or these beings will stand off and let us annihilate ourselves. They did that before, and all life in this world ended numbers of times in its ancient past. They're not doing that this time. There are many beings on Earth that can't remember who they are that are important to those people. Could be great contributors, co-creative to the source behind all life if they were awakened. That potential means something. It means a lot. When I go into the hue for the benefit of those people who might be listening, I'm simply sending out a transmission of a type of energy that's 0 point, that is pure, that cannot be manipulated. No negative can influence it. You can't store negative energy, thoughts, and emotions in the void of space. There's nowhere to store it. It is energy, but it does not, like molecules and atoms. It's not like chips in a computer. You can't store it there. So we will get above the negative atmosphere of this planet, which means every negative thing ever done by anybody to anybody on this earth in 65 million years since the dinosaurs were extinct is still recorded in the atmosphere, bouncing off the ionosphere, just like radio waves do. Thick. It's difficult for people to make headway or get their head above the forest and the trees living in that kind of energy. So we get above the earth. And Atma is what we really are, capable of doing this instantly. And then we can breathe. We can meet with beings and go on journeys and do things and help make change here. As the beings we are, not the brain and body. You can't change anything with this thing. How much can one brain and body learn in a lifetime on this planet? Practically nothing. I don't care if you got 3 PhDs, you're still stupid. If you don't know about life out there, you're as ignorant as a brick. I don't care if your IQ's 286. You can be dumber than a brick because you don't know anything. There are scientists who are bright, that are classified, that know about quantum physics, that know about the toroidal energy, the 0 point energy. They don't understand it at all yet, but they can work with it to a limited degree. And much of it was given to them without having to earn it themselves. And the problem with that is beings who get something for free, who don't respect what they're given, will abuse it for selfish reasons. And that is only ever destructive, period. So a certain maturity has to come along with how to use this energy for the good of all life, or you're running on one thruster out of 14, you're not working on all thrusters. And many mistakes in judgment will be made because of that. So I'll go into this you. It's a telepathic function, which means the being that I am above this body that's spherical is sending this out to the beings that all of you are. Not playing with negative and positive and who's right and wrong and who's politically in power. I don't care about any of that. It's a waste of time. But being to being, we will go into this for your uplifting benefit. That is my only motivation here. And that motivation I represent here on Earth, that is like the motivation of billions upon billions of people on other worlds in the physical universe and in the higher realities as well that work with them. It will help you put your body to the trance state you put it in every night called sleep, and it will help you put bodies you're running on different dimensions you don't even remember. Most people don't remember they even have them. their so-called higher selves. It puts them into the trance state called sleep, so the spherical you can draw its energy together, safely I mean. The pineal gland, a certain energy beam is connected to it to keep the body running, breathing, heart working, blood circulating through the pineal gland so that you can go out like you do every night when you go to sleep and explore and learn to be a co-creator with the source, because that's what we're doing. Becoming conscious of it is a whole nother issue. We want to become conscious of it so that we can have or reestablish what we call true free will. What is that? Well, it is the ability to make decisions based on direct knowing certainty when you look out to the multiverse from the sphere and know things, plugging into it directly. It's not limited by molecules, it's not limited by time and space or the speed of light. You make decisions from there, you're going to make correct decisions. You make decisions from what you grew up with in this life, surrounded by negativity and fear on earth, you're going to make nothing but wrong decisions. Money's going to be put in the wrong place. Mistakes come back, then they try to throw more money at it and fix that, and it's just a downward spiral, ultimately. So we want to put the brakes on that kind of thing and start to allow wonderful other beings from other realities to help us, because they're willing to. But not under our terms and conditions of being driven by fear subconsciously. That's not even on the table. That would just destroy the world again. The first half of the word human, hidden in plain sight, the human language, the English language, and other languages did not get created on this earth. They may have changed over time here, but they were imported to this planet from other worlds where they were originated. This is true of races on this planet too. Asian races didn't create it on Earth. It's one landmass all the way down to the core, one big ocean, one atmosphere around one planet with a gravitational field. You can't evolve these kinds of different races on this world this way. They have to evolve out in different world systems with different sun configurations in order to make these differences that we experience as different races. And those beings were imported here, often as slaves to do dirty work, mining, under treaties and stuff that go back. People have no idea. So, what beings need to recover on Earth isn't about Chinese or Japanese or Caucasian or African American or any of that nonsense. It's who they are running those forms, because that's made of the source itself. You start becoming aware of that, and all these prejudices and differences and everything just dry up and blow away. They go away. Then body forms in different races can be respected and appreciated for body forms, to experience things, to transmit it back to what we call soul, to the being that's running that body. And then beings can communicate with each other, knowing who we are. A brain and a body communicating to another brain and body isn't true communication at all. Isn't that interesting? The spherical nature of what we are running it communicates through it. Eyes don't work, mouths don't work, bodies don't walk from here to go to the store till you first imagine. That's the Atma saying, there's potato chips, I'm going to go get some. You get in the car, you make the body walk down to the car, you get in, you turn the key on, and then you drive the car to the store and get the potato chips and come back. That's the same way the Atma runs the body. Exactly the same. By itself, a brain and body doesn't do anything. It doesn't even move. So let's go on a journey, unless you have something else you want to ask.
What you were saying is very true, Scott. We manifest things without knowing, We do it every day, and we think that it is just life on earth, We don't know that. We should practice that, to be conscious.
People are like gods clothed in rags. The rags are unconsciousness, fear, subconscious fear. And it misdirects the nervous system when these subconscious programs play to make incorrect choices that look perfectly reasonable. They aren't. They're not seeing the big picture to make decisions from the big picture. You know, it'd be better if people could get out of their body, go up above the earth, outside of negativity, and look and see these political people I'm talking, and make decisions from there, because they would make wondrous new changes here that just they couldn't even have thought of doing before without having that influence around them.
Before we go on a journey, Scott, can I ask the last question from Tanya, Australia? She said, I know how I used to manifest and heal myself and others in my life on a higher dimension. Although here it feels useless. Can you please elaborate on how we do that in this density? Because we were talking about it.
Maybe that's the Tanya I have communicated with emails, probably. But yeah. If it is, I've sent this person a series of techniques printed out so that she could work with them. From the Savior's Agenda book, which also can be applied to the Emerald Doorway book, but it's up to the individual to figure out how to do that creatively. There's a technique for the prologue and all 29 chapters in the Savior's Agenda book, which you know about, Perry, of course.
Yes.
And of course, that book is like this. This is a ship stationed in the ice rings that make up the rings of Saturn in our solar system. Stationed there right now. This is a character named Mark Sanfield, who didn't remember he wasn't even from Earth until some guys tried to kill him when he's on a solo camping trip up in the high Sierras of California. And this ship with a human pilot beams him up and saves his life. From then on, things get really interesting. And in the back of this book are these techniques. Extensive, really, that work with the hue, the first half of the human word, human. This book, of course, is the first book of the Parallel Time Trilogy. These are humans, but not from Earth. And they are hovering on antigravitic disks, being introduced to the Ancient One by this master teacher. And this little friend of theirs, who is a silica-based creature, did not evolve on Earth, that can defy gravity and fly through the air. And he's a little master teacher, too, and he's not human. This is a dimensional doorway to the realm just above the void. This is Kalim's ship, 3 hemispheric pods underneath. That's him. This is a romantic interest. This is Melina. She's got blue skin. She's from a world where they can breathe underwater or on land. This is what we look like as a soul, an individual being. And this is why Earths and moons and suns and galaxies, the things that make up them, are round. So get used to it, because you're not going to be able to avoid that, knowing this forever. It's inevitable that people recover who they are. So what was the question again?
Oh, hold on. The question was, I know how I used to manifest and heal myself and others in my life on a higher dimension. Although here it feels useless. Can you please elaborate on how we do that in this density?
Get above the planet, outside of your body, outside of the negative atmosphere of Earth, and work with others as the being you are, not a body. And change will occur. Because when you're outside of that, you can co-create with no negative influence and make the change you're looking for. When you're on Earth, thinking you're a brain and body trying to make energy and matter around you move, it won't work. It doesn't work like that.
Scott, may I recommend this too? Because from my experience, people who watch this show, you got to watch many shows to understand and to get direct experience, because only one time you will not get it completely. So
no, right.
Yeah.
So you and I do these, I don't know how many hundreds of these we've got up on your YouTube channel. Yes. I'm going to be going into promoting these videos on a much higher level. Amazon and YouTube and my YouTube channel, and probably this radio show, and maybe Facebook, I'm not sure yet, but that costs a lot of money. I mean, that's something that those guys get rich from, charging a lot of money to advertise to all their subscriber bases. It's not free. But I'm going to be doing that because the videos that have been created, they're wonderfully narrated by a woman named Jessica, um, who's a professional narrative artist, like an actor. She's okay, voiceover artist. And some of them are non-narrated, but there's about 26 of them that are short, about a minute and 20 seconds. Some of them are on my website at paralleltime.com. People can listen to them now, but there's a lot more. And we're going to be starting to promote them maybe within another 30 days or so. Once certain things have been corrected, the old book images changed, the new ones published in September of 2019 that have these covers on it, the same size, typos removed. It's taken years and years to get them to where they are supposed to be in this form. This work is original artwork created by someone I hired and worked carefully with, because they are scenes from the books with real actors in costume carrying out these roles so that they appear real in the books. This is original copywritten art. It's not taken from the internet. It's a very expensive process. So those are ready to go. Once we've made a few corrections to them, which I'm doing now, then they'll be ready. And it's taken about 3 years to develop.
Scott, to promote all this, do you open for people to fund you if they can?
If they're the right people, there's certainly some couple, I think two, particularly one, maybe two, very wealthy people that are waking up in a lot of ways now about who they are. And they know that money is just a form of energy. And that on Earth, for the most part, because of the conditioning of fear, it's being misused and hoarded and misdirected. It could be used correctly. And part of it could, if they want to support this work, then that will help do Parallel Time, the short movie, which is designed and written, which will be a DVD that can promote this work further and sold in stores even. Who's Dreaming Me Anyway, a screenplay that was originally designed for Jim Carrey to act in. And someday maybe get him to do it. I don't know. But it's like what would be considered a low budget feature. In Hollywood, that's like up to 25 million, but that's ultra low budget for them. And then there's the Parallel Time trilogy. Screenplays were written before the books were. The books are written and the first one's published. There's the Say Ray's Agenda, and I'm about finished writing the screenplay. It's probably going to be 2 movies. So those things are designed to move things forward too in a practical world. And that's going to take a couple people who are being prepared to come out of the woodwork. When they're ready, they'll find a way to contact me. It's happened before. This is just the beginning. So if that helps, we can put that out there.
It'll be great for our life.
Don't force anybody to do anything. It's just pointless. So when we go into one of these exercises, instead of just talking on a radio show, I make the effort available to show people or demonstrate for people how to go about this, being aware when they put their body to sleep and going on a journey while the body's unconscious because no one's home. It means the being running the body, very complex procedure, make the pineal gland, the center of the brain, create serotonin, make melatonin. And these are chemicals, these are substances which help condition the body so it can breathe, the heart can work, blood can circulate while you're out. There's a little energy beam that's connected from the white core of the sphere of the Atma here. And that one of these energy beams from one of these teardrop shapes in these different layers, different higher faculties of being, creates a stream that is not made of matter, that's not negative and positive, into the pineal gland, and it gets this body going to sleep. People do it all over the world. The worst person and the nicest person can do it, but they've forgotten all about how they're doing it. So it's just unconscious, it's automatic. But they're really putting the body to sleep so they can leave every single night, which means everybody leaves their body every night, whether they know it or not. The whole point is, can you become consciously aware of what you're doing and bring it back? Well, yeah, you can. But you have to have a little backbone and a little courage to leap beyond the conditioning you grew up with on this planet, whether it's political or religious. Politics as it's represented on this earth, religions as they're represented on this earth, do not exist out there in space amongst the great multidimensional creation of the source or prime creator itself. They are earthbound. So whatever truth is in them, that's fine. Whatever's left out, that's fine, but they don't exist out there. The beings I work with know how to work with this toroidal energy as a direct connective telepathic experience. Why? So that they can communicate with each other across time and space and with the source itself. It is a collaborative experience, a co-creative one. And if they can do it, we can do it. If humans on other worlds have done it, then we can too. Not the way we are now. Everybody fighting over polluting the ocean and atmosphere and whether or not use oil anymore. Even the question shouldn't even be a question on this planet. When it first came up to set off a nuclear bomb, it should have been said, no, we won't do it. That blows up in our atmosphere and radioactive particles go all over the jet stream, over the planet, and it's destructive only. They set off hundreds, maybe thousands of those things before they finally got smart enough to say, oh, we're going to destroy ourselves without a nuclear war if we keep this up. So we're paying the price for some of that now. Can't do that and not pay some kind of price. First things to mutate out there are the little microscopic life from radiation. Human beings have become conditioned to it to the point that really it should have killed us all. So if you say, why are we still alive? It's because we're not alone in the universe, or we would be right now. When I send out that, it's like connecting to the white core of your being, the spherical being you are, and then it's connecting to the pineal gland. Now, all you're doing is you are co-creating with me, putting your body to sleep like you do every night, except my voice, which is a telepathic function, is keeping you aware of something to focus on so you remain conscious to go on this journey while the body goes to sleep. This does not mean you may not hear it. You know that you won't hear a plane or a noise in the room where you are. You will, because what you're hearing, even if the eyes are closed, you won't be seeing any light from Earth. So nothing's coming into that part of the brain which is off. Hearing maybe, but as you focus more on this journey, you will lose awareness of or cease to focus upon being aware of the world. The body's asleep, which means no one's home. It's being kept alive at a distance through an energy link that's made of a pure zero-point energy, an energy that is not nuclear. It cannot be broken or destroyed even by a hydrogen bomb. Bodies can be destroyed, but not that energy. So I will go into this, and you who are participating can simply utilize your daydreaming, your creative imagination to see what I'm sharing with you. I'll do this in a series of higher tones so that it will help you physically, emotionally, mentally, and subconsciously. And it will turn off negative things, negative programs. Before we make the leap outside the atmosphere of Earth. You This does two things. The beings I work with will assist you by shutting down or keeping off negative fear of the present and future subconscious programs. They know how to do this. They do it for your benefit temporarily, so you can go on this journey without taking any of that with you. The body's safe, goes to sleep, everything runs, and it is maintained from a distance, and there are beings who see to that. There's a certain protection that goes with working with the first half of the word human, the sound, because it parallels the original first sound behind creation, connects to it. There's a certain protection that goes with working with it, even on a planet like Earth. And it also aligns your other bodies you're running in different dimensions you may or may not be aware even there, what you'd call your higher selves. They aren't normally helping people on Earth like they believe, or the world would be quite different. They need to also be awakened to help each other and you here. And this has to do with working with the source sound or first sound. Missing word in many religious and spiritual books is not a written word. It is a first sound. Omnipresent means that it's everywhere, between all things floating in it, in the multidimensional creation. You are a spherical being. You have a white core and a layer of teardrop-shaped, self-effulgent, self-luminous lights in a certain thickness, from white to kind of a yellow energy. And these are all higher faculties of being, built in a sphere And then it goes into an orange, and then a green, blue, lavender, violet, and a golden energy field, white light around it. And these correspond to the different dimensions you're running a form. Mind comes from the green area. Subconscious, more lavender or violet. Orange from the astral. A little bit of white and gold. These are just wavelengths or energies of states of interdimensional being. The Atma is a multidimensional capable entity, spherical. It can connect into the one energy supporting all life in a telepathic manner and know things at any distance across time and space, or explore things in the multi-universe. Not only other worlds, but different parallel dimensions and higher realities as well. Consider this like a higher science of knowing and understanding the nature of the source behind all life, of which we are all comprised. What we are as Atmas existed before the worlds of time and space were created. So how old are you? I'm talking about this lifetime or this body. Imagine being, just like daydreaming, you know how to do that, being a sphere of light looking down on your body, sitting in a chair, lying on a bed, wherever you are. And look kindly down on that form that grew up in this lifetime, the brain and body that's there. As a device you're running as the Atma, it does not run itself. If you, the real being, were not animating it, it would sit in a corner and drool, fall over and die, stop functioning. Brains and bodies do not run themselves. You are hovering near the ceiling. And when you look out through the walls, you can see right through them, and you see yourself now hovering at 10,000 feet in the atmosphere. You are a sphere of energy not made of the atmosphere, not of molecules. And when you look around you and you look into the air in the atmosphere above where you live, you can see a white golden light behind the energy that makes up the air. And then you find yourself in space, high in orbit above the planet, further than the space shuttle or the International Space Station are or have ever been. As you are an energy that does not feel heat or cold, you don't get any negative things from the radiation from the sun. It's practically absolute zero. If you think in terms of cold and heat out here, the Atma doesn't feel any of that. And you can see the polar ice caps of Earth, the oceans, and from here you don't see any cities or walls between countries. You see land masses, oceans, polar ice caps, and a barren moon with meteor craters all over it that does not turn on its axis. No atmosphere. It moves around the sun, always showing us the same face. And in the distance, far off, the yellow sun we call Sol. And billions of stars surrounding us in every direction. When you look at this energy that appears to be like a darker black energy between Earth and Moon and suns and galaxies from a Hubble telescope, time-lapse photography, or an optical telescope, time-lapse photography, a radio telescope image blended with it, you see what appears to be black between everything, but it isn't. It's just the way human eyes are limited to seeing. They can't see into the spectrum of energy that goes beyond the capability of physical eyes to detect it. The Atma hovering in space can see it for what it is, and it's a white golden light permeating everything, packed full of this energy. And moons and planets and suns and galaxies are spinning, creating gravitational fields floating in it. It is everywhere. It is between the vast distances between galaxies. It is between parallel dimensions in the physical universe. It moves up through the lower dimensions of time and space, across the void, and into the upper realities where it's pure positive. No positive and negative. No moons, no planets, no suns, no stars there. Constructs that beings build and maintain for creating new ways of doing things to solve bigger problems in eternity in a pure energy field that has no negative nature. And this is the direction and where we come from originally, as beings running bodies. The person asked from Australia why they're not able to make things work down here. Because if they're thinking of making them work from the brain and body they grew up with, it won't work anyway. Get above the earth, get out in space, outside of the negatively compacted frequencies that saturate the planet's atmosphere we call Earth. Here in the void of space, there's a white golden light under your feet, surrounding you as a sphere, extending infinitely in every direction up through the dimensions as described, and it breathes out and it breathes in. What we're doing is connecting ourselves with that energy that goes in an upward spiral back to the source. It is our purpose as spherical beings floating in space, and all of us on this journey are in a circle around a friend of mine, Ambassador Turellian of the Say race, human race, not from Earth. Very ancient. And he's showing you an 18-foot tall body of what he used to have. There's a spherical being hovering above it, which is who he really is. A little brighter than we are, but an Atma just the same. And he's showing you his slightly curvy, long blonde hair, blue eyes, slightly pointed ears, little white tunic, bare feet, standing there with his two thumbs out, with his hands surrounded by a golden white energy, like radiating in a sphere around each fist. What he's doing is maintaining a stable space for us. Out of the energy you see all around the planet, the moon, the suns, the stars, which is a golden white light, the energy of the universe. It is a living, singular force, conscious. It is not an individual being like an Atma like us. It is an omnipresent energy. We live and move and have our being in it. And it comes from a place far above the lower worlds of time and space. And we all, each one of us, had a co-creative collective hand in making things the way they are. If we want to change them, bitching about it will not change anything. We need to work with advanced, wondrous beings from other worlds and other realities who know how to change worlds and to have them help change ours with us, with our cooperation. So you're seeing Turellian in the center, and I'm standing off to his right, much shorter. You can see me projecting a physical body that looks to be about 36, and flawless, healthy, radiant. And when you look at yourself in a circle, you can see a body that looks to be about 36, no matter what age you are. It's a pure energy form that looks human, that can feel the energies of space, the hue. It can detect planets. It can detect things on planets. It is not a physical DNA body. It's a pure energy form projected from the white core of your being, hovering there above it. Both are you. This is so we have a way of identifying each other up here above the planet. You can hear a sound rumbling through that white golden light. It sounds like very deep rolling thunder, but it's not frightening. It's like rolling thunder that's powerful but gentle. And you can see it as a white golden light, and it's vibrating everywhere. There are beings from what are called the Galactic Interdimensional Alliance of Free Worlds, which is in English how it would be sounded. And it's centered at near the galactic core of this galaxy. Not in the center, but near it. It's a Trinami. It's a big world. It's 4 times larger than Earth, surrounded by 3 moons about the size of Earth, and a trinary sun system. The more advanced races have 3 suns around which their worlds revolve, meaning a blue-white giant, a yellow sun smaller like ours, and maybe a red dwarf out further. Combinations thereof. And there are a number of beings, several dozen, men and women, masculine and feminine, standing just behind us in a circle, the Atma hovering above them, dressed well. Some have different colored eyes, violet eyes, silver hair. Some look all snake-like skin, but kind, bipedal, walking like humans, humanoid. There is a being called a Dren, floating just above Tyrellian's right shoulder, about 3 feet long from the root of his tail to the tip of his nose, has big bulbous blue eyes, a body like a salamander in a way, but he's not from Earth. And he has strong arms and legs and fingers and toes just like a human, with his tail glowing from the root to the tip like gem-grade crystal opal in bright sunlight. He's levitating there. He's showing you what he looks like on his world, where he evolved. His race evolved with the ability to defy gravity and fly through antigravitic capability, an organic silica-based creature. His name is Etta. He's a dear friend of mine, and I of him. He is a being who's courageous to a fault, who would, if he had to, die to save you, or give up his life. He is also a master teacher, but he is not human. Has a great sense of humor. He can speak with vocal cords, and he's telepathic. Tyrellian, of course, the same, and all of you are as well. It takes a little bit of work to remember how to do this when you haven't done it for ages. So the energy that Tyrellian's emitting from his thumbs and his hands is a magnified amount of the hue itself that surrounds us in time and space, which is not nuclear or atomic in nature. It is energy, and it is a conscious energy. It comes from a place very far above the lower worlds of time and space, from the center of what looks like a galaxy revolving in a circle in an ocean of sound and light made up of beings like us. We come from there originally. Remember, this is in a place beyond time and space, beyond causation. There is no negative nature there whatsoever. Never has been. Things are changing there these days. And so the way the lower worlds of time and space are being run are also changing for the first time in new ways. When you look around you at this 24 men and women, they are, if you look on their front top chest, right, there's a pyramid, 3 blue stars on top, golden pyramid quartz cap centered over the white nucleus of a silvery white galaxy. They are part of the Galactic Alliance, and they are adept at removing subconscious terrorizing programs. They are adept at helping people recover who they are as the Atma, running bodies, not the other way around. And if any of you asked these 12 people, 24 actually, 24, usually a couple, a man and a woman, or any other couple of people can help you. When you're out of your body at night, working with the hue, you can make contact with them. They are not tyrants. They do not invade your space or invade your privacy. They work with you as the Atma to get that awake, that which runs your body on Earth, you, the real you. Four of them are moving out in the space between Tyrellian in the center and Etta and myself, and they are introducing themselves to you as Shantiel, Tonaltiel, Dantiam, and Lamtiam, and they are a couple, mated couple, that work on a ship, 4 couples, about 30 foot across, a galactic type scout craft that are stationed in our solar system permanently now for one purpose: to keep tyrants out of the solar system and to provide the ways and means for us to be uplifted and transformed on this planet in entirely new, wondrous ways. This is going to take the awakening of the mass of people on this planet, a process that has begun. It's a process that is not reversible. When you look out in space from here, in a circle around Trillion, you can see, like, you can magnify the distance between here and the planet Jupiter. You can simply see it through the golden white light that is under and behind everything. You are comprised of the same thing, and you can see that there is a ship a mile long with a long cigar-shaped cylindrical hull, silver blue metal surrounded by a pale blue antigravitic light. It creates its own electromagnetic field. It has a bridge on one end and a bridge on the other, on each end. It's made for traveling between interdimensional doorways. And you can see it stationed down in the 1.5-mile thick ice rings that make up the rings of Saturn in our solar system. You can see a dozen galactic scouts about 30 foot across with 3 hemispheric pods underneath, pale antigravitic light around it, and they're moving inside this ship through the central section. They raise their molecular time rate through the gravitational field surrounding the craft and pass through the molecules of the ship to land in a big hangar bay. They do not need, nor do they go through open launch bay doors. The ship is sealed. Now you can look at the asteroid field between the planets Mars and Jupiter. Twice the distance between any other planet, because there was a planet there that was blown up in solar system history long ago. The planet moves around the sun at, let's just pick a figure, 50,000 miles an hour. And when it's blown up, it simply spreads out and continues in its centrifugal and centripetal force around the sun. It spreads out into a bunch of rocks circling the sun in the orbit of a planet that once was. Some of those large asteroids would have gone out into the solar system. One impacted Mars and ruined it. Other impacted Earth, and we've had polar flips. So there's a history that people can become aware of by looking at it from outside of Earth. Here they can remember, they can see. And if you can see this in your imagination, it's because you, the real you, is seeing it. You're not making it up in your sleeping brain back on Earth. The brain in a human body cannot imagine anything. It is not designed to do that. There is no camera and motion picture screen upon which to project anything you imagine. It is you doing the daydreaming. It is you when you drift out of a classroom because you're bored. You see the classroom, you see looking through the window at the parking lot, and then you imagine being on the ski trip or on another planet. That is you, the being hovering above that body, seeing that, not the brain. The sooner you become aware of this fact, the better off it will be for all of you. And now you're back in your spherical presence around Trillion, looking down on the polar ice caps of Earth, the barren moon, and then you see a golden white light begin to rise to a brighter texture surrounding the Earth and the moon, and it becomes a different Earth and moon. We are moving up to the third parallel dimension in the physical universe above the Earth and moon that you know. This Earth and moon, in the same place on a different vibrational level, has no polar ice caps. It is one big continent centered over the equator from the left to the right hemisphere that moves up towards the North Pole and down towards the eastern side of the equator. It's about a third of the way below the North Pole, and the same a third of the way above the South Pole. You can see right through the planet. You can see another continent, 2/3 its size, centered over the equator. The rest is all water. You can see a moon here with a full oxygen atmosphere, rain clouds and rivers, 5 domed cities on one side facing us as it's turning on its axis, 3 golden-sided, 4-sided quartz-capped pyramids inside each one, and as it turns on its axis, moving around the planet, we can see 2 domed cities in the backside of the mountainous region. There is no overpopulation. There's no pollution of any kind on these worlds. These have been there for ages. When you look at the continents centered over the equator, you can see down at the bottom point, about a third of the way to South Pole, is a crescent-shaped, glowing emerald green beach near a tropical paradise. You can see it from space because you are an Atma. And you look down on that beach and you wonder what that beach is like. Terrellian and Etta and myself and these 24 Galactic Alliance personnel and the several master teachers I won't describe this time are going with us. And then you look down and you see your bare feet wiggling in this glowing emerald green sand. And it feels warm and cooling at the same time. You reach down and scoop up some of this hand, and a hand you see in front of your face. And you can see that you are a physical form about 36, perfectly flawlessly healthy. And above you, when you look up, smiling, is the spherical you running it. And it can fill the sand. And it's glowing with this green light about a foot above the sand. It moves up your legs, up your torso, out through your hands. You look up smiling, goes into the white core of the being hovering above you, and out to that green layer. White center, yellow, orange, green, blue, orange, red, green, blue, lavender, violet, and then this golden energy around it. And it can perceive what you're doing. That's you. The sand is glowing. When you look at it, you can see it's made of tiny, round, polished, pure emerald crystals. And they are holding a certain energy, which is being projected to this beach to charge it. When you look at this crescent-shaped beach, you can see that we are standing, all of us on this journey, in a circle, a semicircle. And out in the ocean, you look behind you, you can see Terrellian standing up to his knees in ocean water with his 2 thumbs up, the golden white light still around them, smiling. You look at the back of this curved beach, you see these jungle trees and a brown moss-covered path going back about a mile, straight as an arrow. And off to the right, up in the hill, you see a single snow-capped mountain. And off to the left on a lower plateau, a huge dome covering a city. 3 4-sided, golden-sided quartz-capped pyramids off to the left, a semicircular mountain range behind it with little rivers and waterfalls cascading down it, a blue-green luminous lake in the center, and out on the countryside surrounding it, little domed home dwellings and little white ivory walkways and paths. This city is manned by Galactic Alliance personnel, master teachers who work with them from various dimensions. And down, when you look down at this green beach where your feet are, you look inland and you can see that about a mile in between here and the mountain and this domed city is a statue of a woman. You're suddenly surrounding it and you look at it and it's a quartz crystal statue, polished, about 10 feet tall. And there's a woman with a gold band around her forehead and a teardrop facing down, emerald cut faceted stone, slightly pointed ears like an elf, and long silver hair. You can see this as if she's standing just inside the surface of the quartz, a living being. It's silver hair like metal, but you know it's soft. She has violet eyes, a longer neck and longer fingers and longer legs and arms than we have on Earth. She's 10 feet tall. And her hands are up in front of her with her palms open, surrounded by a foot of thick green light. This device is charging that beach. When you look in this green crystal around her forehead, this beautiful woman, this elegant gown, in bare feet. You can see she's standing inside a huge field of green energy inside this interdimensional doorway. You find yourself with Torellian and Etta and others surrounding this being who's greeting you. She has her hands up. The green light is coming from her. She drops them. Beside her stands her mate, her significant other, little taller with the silver hair and violet eyes. And you realize this green energy is a gift to this reality on this earth that's in the third higher parallel dimension of time-space. And it is a prototype world. It's been designed so that this will remain, but Earth as you know it and the moon that's barren now will not always remain that way. One of the problems with Earth is the moon does not turn on its axis, and it creates problems with water, both in tides on the planet and the water in human bodies, which is fourth phase water, really. It's not H2O. I think it's H2O2. Fourth phase water. It was Professor Gerald Pollack that discovered this out of Washington State University. I have met him. And he is someone who has proven the existence of it and its wondrous qualities, what it can do. So this is just common knowledge out among the stars. People on Earth are finding out many things. The moon, because it does not turn on its axis, creates an imbalanced state, particularly emotionally, in people that live on Earth. It's better to have no moon or more than one, preferably those that turn on their own axis. You find yourself experiencing this green energy within your own being as recall and memory. It is designed to help you recover what you've long forgotten about who we are as beings, not bodies, and what we're capable of doing in co-creating with that one hue, first sound, omnipresent living force behind all that is, because it is a co-creator with us. You create with your imagination good and bad, fear and wonderful things for your family, and it will create both in your reality. We are meant to only imagine that which will be of an uplifting benefit to all life. That is our true nature. The Atma doesn't have any negative nature in it at all. To think that you are positive and negative, good and bad, are part of the trap of beings in bodies in planets like Earth. Your original nature has none of that. So that's artificially created, and it needs to be neutralized. This green energy that's a spin-off of the energy of the white golden light of the hue in eternity will assist you to do that, as it's doing that now. You're in space above the Earth now, around Torellian, where this journey started. We're keeping it close to home these days. We have gone on journeys to the upper realities, but this is to get more grounded experience for people in knowing and being and understanding once again how it is to be operating outside of the body, particularly above the atmosphere, the negative atmosphere of planet Earth, until it's changed. Fear of the present and the future and all such things are turned off, and your body's asleep on Earth. Torellian is now going to speak with all of you. You may hear him telepathically, you may doubt this and so block it, but I will tell you what he will say. He does this, what he does, voluntarily. He does not owe any of it to any of us. He's not obligated. However, he does tell you that his race helped to bring into creation bodies like human, twin-stranded DNA, based on their 12-stranded, more advanced human form. They immortalized their physical body over 1 billion years ago, which means they didn't just like keep them a certain age forever. No, They dematerialized them on a genetic level, stored the DNA in one of the teardrops of their being. And when he needs to use a physical body, he will draw energy from the hue and fill it like a golden grid work, like a grid pattern, and it will fill in that DNA, and presto, instant body you could touch. 18 feet tall, however. So when he needs it for any reason, he manifests it and then dissolves it. He's not burdened with having to run one around all the time like we are. They were responsible for helping many bipedal races in the galaxy and others to become spacefaring races long ago, and then they vanished. They have returned now to help take responsibility for what we did with it, which is not very pretty. So they're not going to run things or rule things, but they are going to help carry forward a new energy ray, a new awareness within the omnipresent first sound. And this motivates all beings to only create that which is of an uplifting, beneficial nature to all life, not just on Earth, all life in the grand multidimensional universe. It comes with a certain wisdom as it moves through us, our solar system, and our people. The way they work with beings who have forgotten who they are and are living and making decisions based on fear is by working with them when they're out of their bodies at night, when a person is more free of the negative atmosphere of Earth. Now you find yourself hovering above your body back on Earth, wherever you are. You are spherical. The white core of your being in its center sends a little beam of golden white light down to the pineal gland, the center of the brain, and it radiates in an expanding field of energy through your brain, your body, your molecules, until it is expanded to about 2 miles wide. Then the energy continues beyond that field, where it connects with 3 pyramids of a certain design that are stationed on the bottom of 2 of our deepest oceans and 1 inside a hollowed-out interior in the Himalayan mountains. And they are connected to a tall pyramid, quite large, stationed between 2 asteroids in the asteroid field between Mars and Jupiter we talked about earlier. And they are turned on. Those pyramids in turn, and what's in the center of them, connect to a massive pyramid between suns. And if you were to get above the Milky Way galaxy now, you would see one of these pyramids glowing in space, stationed directly between 2 suns, in that hue expansion ray toroidal energy of the universe. The energy moves through them and continues upward, back to the source from whence it came. We live and move and have our being in that energy that makes up most of creation, much bigger and deeper than the things that float in it, is a conscious, living, non-nuclear, non-atomic type of energy. Be kind to your physical form here. Allow this experience to move through the human brain and body that never learned any of this growing up on Earth. When you imagine anything now, be cautious. Imagine first, work with the hue to still the emotional negative body, subconscious programs, until you feel uplifted. Then start to imagine wondrous new ways of doing things and wondrous new places to visit. Always for your benefit, but for the benefit of all life too. This is the purpose behind enlightenment. Always for the purpose of the uplifting benefit of all life. And when you're ready, open your eyes.
Oh, thank you for the journey as usual, Scott.
For some reason, Torellian and other people I work with want to keep this closer to Earth, at least parallel dimension close. Our solar system, it's enough for people to grasp what we're doing with that. As you know, we've gone very much higher places than this and further out in creation to other worlds. This is what people are capable of doing. Now, right now on Earth, they don't have to believe it. They doubt it. They're afraid to know who they are. that they aren't this physical body because they wonder whether they'll live if they get out of it, knowing their body's not going to last forever anyway. So it's better a being become aware of what they are and work with the universal energy out there and the beings that work in it consciously, and to know this before their body passes, because we only take with us at the time of the end of this existence on Earth what we're aware of. You want to be aware of a lot more, because that will create the circumstances of where we all go from there. Any other questions, Barry?
No, Scott. Thank you very much. For those who watch our show, if you like, please thumb up and subscribe, okay? And share too.
Anyway, I will send you the recording of this journey, and then it can go up on your YouTube channel with some nice script that describes it. And then people can play it back a second time and go into the same sleep state and go on the journey and get a lot more detail from it. So I wish everybody in the show, and you, Perry, and thank you.
Yes.
Great
Thank you
goodwill.
for watching, everyone. Yeah.
Pleasant dreams, too.
Bye.
Bye.